In this video, we're going to use the graphing calculator to approximate the zeros of a function. But before we grab the calculators, let's talk about the zeros of a function, what that means, and how we would find them algebraically. So the zeros are basically the x coordinates that give you a y value of 0. So if you put 0 in for y, what will you get for x? Another word for zeros would be roots. Again, another word for zeros would be roots. And if your zeros are real, then those are going to be x-intercepts. So if you use your graphing calculator, you're looking for the real zeros. You're looking for the x-intercepts. Okay, if we were solving this algebraically and looking for the zeros, here we have put 0 in for y, and let's solve for x. We could add 3 to both sides. We could square root both sides. We get plus or minus square root 3. Those are irrational, and your calculator is only going to be able to approximate them. But there are times when that is fine. So we don't always need exact values. Approximate values are appropriate at certain times. So let's go ahead and grab the calculator. You may have other things going on with your calculator from whatever you did last time. So it would be wise to go ahead and clear the memory. So press second plus, go into the memory menu, and then number 7 is reset, and then press enter for all RAM, and then number 2 for reset. The other thing you could do is just, instead of resetting the memory, you could go into y equals and clear whatever's there. Okay, so let's type in our function. So we have y equals x squared minus 3. We need a good viewing window. We could start by looking at this with a standard viewing window of -10 to 10, and to get to that you press zoom. 6 for zoom standard. That's not bad. We see the function, and we see it has zeros here and here. If you wanted an even better window, you could try some other things. You could put your own numbers in there in the window menu, or I think I'm going to try for this one, zoom decimal, which is number 4. It doesn't go all the way out to -10 and +10, so it zooms in a little bit. And one of the nice things about zoom decimal, if I press trace and I move left and right, you'll notice the x coordinates are 1/10 of a unit apart. So it's a really nice increment to go by. Okay, so let's see how we find the 0. So we press second trace to go into the calculate menu. We choose number 2, 0, and then it's going to ask us 3 questions. So it wants to know, is the cursor on the left of your 0? And then it will want to know, is the cursor on the right of your 0? And then it wants a guess. So if we are going to find this leftmost 0, we need the cursor to be on the left of that 0, so somewhere over here. So our choices are to just move the cursor by pressing the arrow, or instead we could type in a number like -2, and now the cursor's on the left. And some calculators give you this nice boundary line. Okay, second question has popped up. It wants a right bound. So we can move the cursor to the right of the 0 or type in a number like -1. Press enter. And there's another boundary line. So we have told the calculator to look for a 0 between those 2 lines. And even if your calculator does not show you the lines, you probably have little arrows. So you have told the calculator to look for a 0 between those 2 arrows. And now it wants a guess, so just go in between. It doesn't matter if you're on the 0 or not, you're just somewhere in between. Press enter. And there we have approximate coordinates of the 0. We have an x value of -1.73, blah, 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 with a y coordinate of 0. And if you remember what we did earlier algebraically to find the exact coordinates, that would have been -√3. And you could even check that on your calculator. If we go back to the home screen, what is √3? There's that number, 1.732, and so on. Okay, let's find the other 0. So again, we go into the calculate menu, second, trace, choose number 2, 0. We want to be to the left of the 0 we're interested in, so perhaps right there. And then we want to be to the right of it, so move your cursor or type in a number. That's good enough. And then something in between for the guess. And there we have the coordinates of the other 0. Great.